And we are live. It's your favorite insurance agent, Darnold Jr., and this is Finlit Live. This is the show where we talk about personal finances. So if you are tuning in live, go ahead and in the comments put hashtag live. If you're watching a replay, put hashtag replay. Thank you for tuning in tonight. Tonight, we have Coach Andre, and we're going to talk about his financial journey and what that was like for him. I've talked to this gentleman a couple times, and he has a very, very fascinating story. So let's go ahead and dive in and go ahead and get lit. All right, without any further ado, I'd like to bring on Coach Andre. Hey, Coach, how's it going?
Hey, what's going on, my brother? Good evening. Good evening. What's going on?
Good evening. I appreciate you for taking time out of your busy schedule to hang out with us here on Finland Live. And so hopefully we could glean some tips and tools from your journey. But before we do that, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Great, I can do that. So, for those don't know, I'm the rhyming realtor for your dream home. We need to buy or sell. I am the purpose coach for those that feel like they're going through hell. I am the speaker here to motivate, encourage, and inspire. I'm a poet as well. I grab the mic to spit bars of fire. This book that I wrote, well, it's changing lives as well. A servant is what I am on a mission to serve, not sell. When it's all said and done, I help others reach their full potential by helping them find their purpose, to find true joy. It is essential. So, Andre Notice is my name, and inspiration is who I be. It is true. I live to give, and you will notice me.
I love it. That's a first on the show. So let's start off with your story. So obviously, you're from Houston, originally born and raised, and this is where you currently reside, right?
Yep, that's correct. Born and raised right here. Been here all of my life, all 38 years. I was raised in a single parent household for a part of that when my parents split, and then my mother did later remarried. But I was raised in a partially a one parent household for quite some time, and I had two younger brothers with me as well. And I learned a lot from watching my mother work multiple jobs and then transition into entrepreneurship. So it's definitely been a transition that I've learned, being able to see her grow and being able to see her go from employee to entrepreneurship, which at the time I didn't really know what it was, but as I got older, I began to understand the business aspect to that, and that's how I was exposed to it from the beginning.
Wow, that's very cool because we kind of have similar stories because I was raised in a single parent household too. I actually read a stat recently that 80% of African American families live in a single parent household. So that stat in and of itself blows my mind. So you have a very unique experience. Like, kind of describe that experience of watching your mom go from an employee to entrepreneur, and what did that do for you watching her do that transition?
Yeah, so she actually was working one job, but then she was working two jobs at time. And then I realized shortly after I graduated high school, she was working a business. She actually owned her own mortgage company, and she actually had my younger brother's girlfriend working for her. So she had a few employees, and I was able to see her work for herself. Even though I didn't really pay attention, I didn't really know specifically what was going on. She did me some things, and she showed me how she was starting her own business. And she did fairly well for herself in the real estate industry as a mortgage broker until the market crashed. And when the market crashed, our lives took a turn, things got rough. But I was able to see her experience that entrepreneurship and see her like start that journey and see how rewarding she was by helping people get into their first and second homes. So that's what started it for me, was when I saw her uh, act it out, live it out, and see how rewarding it was for her.
Oh, that's pretty cool. And so, as you saw her go through the financial crash of 2008, like what was your experience with that? And what inspired you ultimately to be your own boss and run your own business?
That's a great question. So for me personally, I was encouraged by my stepfather and my mother to get my license, because as they were in real estate working the mortgages, they thought it'd be a good idea for me to get my real estate license and we can work a family business and just keep it all in the family. So that's what I did. And I got licensed back in 2004, 20 years old, left college. Well, I was still in college, but I took a break during the summer to get my real estate license. And that's when I got started. And I sold one of her friends their first home. And that was awesome. But it was hard. I actually failed my real estate exam a lot of times, 8 times, I believe.
Oh,
And
wow.
I actually had to continue to be resilient to be able to take that test and to pass it. And after I passed it, after I sold a couple of homes, my mother lost her business when the real estate industry crashed. And when it crashed and she lost her business, and I had to make a decision. Was I going to continue doing real estate in a market in an industry that I did not know? Or was I going to leave and get a job? The person that was mentoring me at the time, he told me that I can work in his office 8 to 5 and learn the business from the inside. But I had never worked an 8 to 5 and I wasn't excited about doing so. So I declined it and I went and got a job. And that's what I did.
Nice. So, what type of job do you have, and then how do you transition back into doing real estate more full time?
I had a job. I worked a lot of different places actually. I waited tables. I sold so many different things. I did a lot of different things. But the last job I had, I got it in 2007, and I was working at T-Mobile, which is a job that I wanted. I really worked hard to get there. I had a couple of friends that worked there. They were doing all right. And that was my last job. I was there for 4 years. And as I was there, I was still licensed. And I'll never forget this one time a young lady came in. She was one of my customers, and she had a BlackBerry phone that I was helping her with. And her phone just kept going off, like notifications, phone calls, text messages, emails. I'm like, dang, what do you do? She said, I'm in real estate. I'm a realtor. And I'm like, really? Me too. And she looked at me. She's like, well, what are you doing here? What's funny is I told her what I had heard. I had heard that the market wasn't good. I had heard that it was extremely difficult. You couldn't really make money in real estate at this particular time. But she was like, "No, you need to get back into real estate. You need to come on over where I'm doing. You need to get back to it. So come on." And she encouraged me to reactivate my license and get back to it. And that's how I got back into real estate. That's
That's
what it
awesome.
was. Hmm.
And how many years ago was that?
Oh my goodness, I don't even know. This had to be 2010 ish, somewhere around there was when she encouraged me to get back. And I came back and I started doing real estate part time. And 2011, and the end of 2011, I said, I just can't do this anymore. I was sick and tired of working for somebody else, clocking in hours, missing gorgeous days where I can be outside, being behind a big glass window. And I was just tired. I felt like Superman in chains. I saw this image. It was a image of Superman, and he had two guards on him on the side, and he was in chains. And that's how I felt. I felt like I was this super being with all this potential, but I was in chains. That's how I felt working this job. So I decided that I was going to go ahead and drain my 401k and do real estate full time. And that's what I did. I put in my 2 weeks notice and I said, I can't do this anymore. I'm going to step out on faith and I'm going to do real estate full time. And that was when I made the decision to do that. So,
Wow.
yeah.
And usually it doesn't matter how you start, it matters how you finish. Usually the start is the roughest. Like, what was your experience transitioning from selling cell phones to selling houses now full time?
It started off very fun. It started off because I ran into a friend who sold cars and he did pretty well selling cars. He was a basketball player and he sold cars when he was in town. And he was telling me how much money he was making. I said, you know what? I'm interested. What I got to do? And he told me, man, you pay me X amount of dollars, you can come to the auction with me, buy a car, sell it on Craigslist. So I said, all right, bet. So I will go to the auction with him. I would buy a car, chunk him his change, and I would sell a car on Craigslist. I sold a couple of cars. I had a couple of cars. It was cool. And then shortly after that, he died.
Oh.
He died on a motorcycle accident on 59, young man.
Mm.
And when he died, I lost that stream of income. And then when he died, shortly afterwards, my roommate at the time told me, I'm going to go ahead and put in my 2 weeks. I'm going to be moving out. So just
Wow.
like that, in the moment, I lost a stream of income. My bills doubled because my roommate was moving out, and all I have is real estate that I was still trying to learn. And it got rough. I
Wow.
was in an apartment with that roommate. When he left and the bills doubled, I ended up getting evicted from that apartment, and I moved into a hotel. And I was at that hotel for quite some time. I was selling some of my possessions just to be able to get by. I sold my TV at the time, and I ended up going from that hotel to a friend's house, and from one friend's house to another friend's house. And for 3 years, I was going from friend's house to friend's house. I slept on beds, I slept on couches, I slept on floors, um, just trying to make it.
Wow.
All while I'm trying to do real estate full time. And after the last friend kicked me out, I ended up moving back with my dad. And I told him I'd be there for 6 weeks, and I was there for 6 months. And after a while, he had enough. And about 1 week after my 30th birthday, he handed me a subpoena and said,
Mm.
you got to get out.
Wow.
And I packed up all of my belongings and I put them into a car that I had just gotten. Um, I had a very high interest rate because my credit was bad. I had a repo on my credit, but I had a car. So I packed up all my belongings, I put them in my car, and I literally slept in my car. And I sold homes when I had no home.
Wow.
Yeah. So it was hard. It was hard. But being homeless for 3 years, sleeping in my car for 3 months, I learned a lot. I would wake up, I would go to Starbucks. No, I would wake up and I would go to either 24-hour fitness to brush my teeth, take a shower, um, get dressed, and then I would go to Starbucks or I'll go to Panera Bread and I would work, and I would put all my belongings in my car, put two black jackets in the back seat of the car so people couldn't see when they looked in that I was living out of it. And I would sell homes and I would show homes and I would work until I had enough money saved to where I was able to get another apartment. I actually got another townhome because I didn't really like apartments. And yeah,
Wow.
that was my experience.
Whew. That's intense. So it sounds like you're hungry.
Yeah, man, I wanted it. I didn't. I knew that if I went back to get another job, I'd be going right back to what I did not want.
Mhm.
And I didn't want a job. I didn't want to work for somebody else. I had the opportunities to. My best friend, I had asked him for money a couple of times. He always gave it to me, but one time he was like, "Man, um, why don't you let me get you hired on where I work?" Because he was making
Mm.
6 figures,
Yeah.
and I was like, "Man, I appreciate it, bro, but nah, I'm good. I don't want to do it." And he didn't understand. But what's funny is later on down the road, he came back and told me two things. One, he said, "Man, because of your success and what you've done, and a couple other people that I know of, you amounted to the reason why I paid for my wife to get her license."
Come on. That's awesome.
And then he said, "Man, I didn't understand why you declined to take the job I was giving you, but I get it now. I didn't understand it then, but I get it now." You know, and it's a true
Absolutely.
story, because he didn't understand it. But look, I I saw more for myself, and I wanted more for myself, and I didn't want to settle myself short by putting myself in a position to where I would not be fulfilled.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's intense, dude. So What was your vision that propelled you to keep going, even though you were bouncing house to house, that you're living out your car? Like, what kept that fire in you? Like, most people, if they were your type of situation, they would run to work for corporate America. They would have got a job. So, what kept you going in spite of everything going on around you?
One is my faith. God is my source. God is my foundation. Two, I got addicted to personal development. So I was constantly listening to, watching Bob Proctor, Jim Rohn, Les Brown, E.T., Steve Harvey, um, all these individuals that had a high level of success. What I realized was they all had a story. You know, Bob Proctor was broke trying to take care of his family, 25 years old. Um, E.T. was homeless, eating out of garbage cans. Steve Harvey was living in his car. Everybody had a story of hard times. So I realized that if everybody has a story, this is just my story. And I realized that. So I told myself, man, one day I'll be able to sit or speak on or stand and speak on platforms telling people about these times that I'm going through right now. And that's exactly what happened. I stuck it out because I knew that it was only for a time period that I would have to go through this. I hated it. I didn't like it, but I knew that it was temporary. If I never gave up, I would have to reach some level of success. I have to. And I knew it. So I just didn't give up.
Very inspirational. So, that begs the question. So it sounds like you're a speaker, you're an author now. Like, what ultimately inspired you to go that route to start speaking about your experience and teaching people the principles you learned while you were going through the hard times?
I never planned to be a speaker. I never saw myself as a speaker. Growing up, I saw myself as a basketball player. I wanted to go to the NBA. I had hoop dreams like every other black man, most black man. But what happened was I started creating home buying seminars. Nobody taught me how to do it. I just created home buying seminars because I wanted to increase the awareness of home ownership, especially for us. So that was where I first started speaking. Then I started getting opportunities to speak at schools, like for career days, elementary schools, middle schools, high school sometimes. And then friends would reach out to me to speak on different podcasts like this about different things, usually about relationships, but just different things really. And people seem to agree with a lot of the ideas and philosophies that I had. And I realized that I enjoyed speaking. I enjoyed seeing how others reacted to what I had to say. I enjoyed seeing other individuals be inspired by what I had to say. I enjoyed seeing that light bulb go off in somebody's head based on what I said. And I realized that if this is something that I enjoy doing, there's a scripture that says that your gift will make room for you.
Absolutely.
So if speaking was something that I wasn't scared of and it came natural to me, maybe that's one of my gifts. So if my gift will make room for me and I enjoy doing it, why not work to place myself in a position to where I can get paid for doing for that which I love doing? And then I started to call myself an aspiring speaker, just trying to speak where I could in different areas, whatever, wherever, for free. And I would say, hire me to speak for free because soon you have to pay to hear what I have to say.
I love it.
And I really believe that. And I would say that, and I would call myself an aspiring speaker. And one of the things that I talk about is the law of attraction and calling things into existence. And I was telling people how you always have to claim that which you are before you are. And one day I realized, I said, I'm telling these people to claim that which you are, but I'm not claiming what I am. I'm calling myself an aspiring speaker. So one day I just decided to drop the aspiring and say, I am a speaker. And I did. And that's what I did. And then I would be invited to speak on different platforms. And I enjoyed it. And it just became another thing that I do.
I love it. Oh my gosh. It's so crazy how similar our stories are. So awesome. Well, if you are watching live right now, go ahead in the comments. If you have any questions for Coach Andre, type it in the chat and I'll bring them on the screen. So, out of all the things you've learned, what is one of the biggest lessons you could share with the audience? It could be concerning your financial journey or it could be concerning just life in general. Like, what is one of the biggest takeaways you could share with the audience that will hopefully inspire them?
It's not about you. Easily. It's not about you. Get yourself out of your way. Quit being selfish. It's not about you. Whatever it is you think it is, it's not about you. Love is the answer. Lead with love.
I love it. That's awesome. So, I know you wrote a book. Go ahead and share your book. Like, what is your book about, and how can people get a copy of your book if they want to read more about your journey?
Yeah, sure. So the title of my book is called Your Purpose Is Not For You. This is the main book I have. I have another one, but I think it's downstairs. This is another book I'm a co-author in, um, Black Men Unmuted. So the first book is a book that I wrote showing people how to find their purpose because most people live and die and never found out why they were even here because of fear. But if you want to go back, if you want to know what you were created for, you got to go back to the creator. And my book is shaped in showing you how to find your purpose, what to look for, asking the right questions and things of such. And the title itself didn't even come from me. God gave me the title for that book. And I'm grateful that he did. And I was also able to write another book, co-authored with Les Brown. Oh, I do have it here. This one is called The Greatness in You. And that's Les Brown. If you know who he is, some people say he's the greatest motivational speaker of all time. So I have two co-author books, then my own personal book, and then I'm working on writing one or two books again this year as well. So to get my books, you can go to purposeforme.com and get it there, and I'll be able to ship it to you. I'm so excited about what's going on. There's a lot going on, but the book is a great way for you to start learning your purpose and understanding why it's not for you. And it's also a prerequisite to my coaching program that I have as well.
Excellent. So we do have some questions from the audience. Jessica says, "How did you come up with the logo on your shirt?"
I have a logo on my shirt.
Well, maybe the same realtors
Oh,
become famous.
I do have a logo. I do have a logo, but it's not on my shirt. I came up with this saying because okay, so that's a great question. So what happened is a friend of mine who's also a realtor, I try to support my friends, especially when they look like me. He had a shirt, and the shirt would say, it said, rapper, athlete, realtor. Rapper and athlete were crossed out, like a line through it, and realtor was just left exposed. Every time I'd wear that shirt, people would stop me and ask me questions. Oh, you're a realtor. Every time I wear it, without fail. Then I went to a pop-up shop for Black business owners. And when I got to wearing the shirt, by the way, the shirt just said buy land. That's the one I chose. I chose a shirt that said buy land. Every time I wore that shirt, somebody would stop me. So I'm like, man, if people keep reading what's on my shirt, maybe I should brand myself. So I
Mm,
said, you know what? I'm going to make a shirt and design it that has everything that I do. And that's what I did. I have a friend who made shirts, and I told him, hey, I want to design this. And man, let me tell you, this shirt has made me money. It's opened doors. It's got me speaking engagements because people read my shirt. So when everybody else is reading Gucci and Fendi and Louis, I'm wearing all me.
that's awesome. Love it. Miss Miss Sandra Leonard said, "To God be the glory. This is so encouraging."
Oh wow, that's
So
awesome. I love to hear that. That makes me smile.
So you're definitely living your purpose. So keep it up. So cool. Well, we appreciate you for being on. Any last comments for the audience to leave them with?
Yeah, absolutely. If you want to connect with me, I'm very easy to find. You can actually Google me. I am Googleable. You can just Google Andre Notice. Notice is my real last name. I believe you can see my Instagram handle or my TikTok handle. You will notice me. The letter U will notice me. I'm real easy to find, easy to talk to. If you want to reach out to know more about what I have going on, please do so. You can DM me. And just know that you were created for purpose. You were created for a specific purpose. There was nothing that was created without a reason for being created, which includes you as well. You were designed for success. If God is success, He cannot design something that is not successful. So if you're not successful, the question is why and what do you have to be doing to make yourself a success? You were meant to succeed, you were meant to prosper. You were meant to live and reach abundance. And if you don't know how to do so, then that's what I'm designed to do is help you reach that purpose, your potential, so that you can position yourselves for profit. So I'm here to push you towards reaching your purpose.
Awesome. Well, you've definitely been an inspiration to me, and hopefully, you've been an inspiration to all those that are watching. We appreciate you for taking time out once again, and definitely hang out in the lobby, and we'll wrap up here in a second.
Sounds good.
All right. Well, if you got any value out of today, go ahead and smash that like button. If you're on YouTube, subscribe to this YouTube station. The purpose of Finlit Live is to talk about financial literacy because growing up, they didn't teach us how money works. And so that's the purpose of the show. I stay in my lane. I'm an insurance agent, been doing it since 2010. So that's my expertise. But I know a lot of people. So my goal is to bring them on the show, ask my questions because I have more questions than answers. I promise you that. And that way you could get your questions answered too. So we open it up to you so you could get your questions answered. So we appreciate you for tuning in. And next week is Valentine's Day. So I'm going to be with my wife. So we're going to be back 2 weeks after that. So I appreciate you guys for tuning in and for getting lit.